The House this last week, lawmakers took steps to dismantle aspects of the 2018 transgender non-discrimination law. On a 201 to 166 vote, state reps agreed to allow classification by sex in certain circumstances, specifically enabling the separation of the sexes in bathrooms, locker rooms, athletic contests, and in prisons or jails. Trans lawmakers on the Democratic side led the charge against this bill, but they were opposed by Republicans and Democrat Jonah Wheeler, who told his party its rigid orthodoxy on this issue is alienating a lot of people who are afraid to speak up. He says calling these kinds of bills hateful is wrong, but most of his fellow Democrats disagree, arguing these legislative efforts are driven by prejudice.
I think it's completely out of the question discriminatory that we can even have this conversation. That the rationale behind this is, well, some of my coworkers at the State House are trans and that makes some people uncomfortable. We need to make a law about it. That's a slippery slope if I've ever heard anything. To what end does legislating based off the comfort of a few end? And how does that not roll back discrimination protections for every single protected class? There's going to be hate for every type of person, and the law should not bend to the will of a hateful few just because they have decided to get loud about it.
Putting in place policies that say that women who were born women deserve a space to themselves, whether that be the bathroom or sports or the locker room or prisons, is not transphobic. And there are people in my town, there are people throughout the country who are liberal, left-leaning people who agree with what I just said here, but some of them won't vote with me here. Some of them, in fact, have left the party in my town. There was just a woman last week who left my party because she felt not only was she not being heard, but she felt like there was no way for her to even speak up about this position.
Many in the House Democratic caucus walked out on Representative Wheeler's speech, a fact he noted in his remarks as evidence that Democrats can no longer tolerate differing views on this issue. That wraps up this edition of Close Up New Hampshire. Thanks for watching. Have a great Sunday.